ABO, it's nice, okay. So here's an article from The Guardian, and it's called Barely Above Water. US shutdown hits black federal workers the hardest. As shutdown barrels into its third week over Trump's border wall, the weight of that uncertainty is being disproportionately shouldered by black Americans. As a 26-year-old veteran of the National Park Service, this isn't the first time Laura Williams has been furloughed during a government shutdown and had to make ends meet without a paycheck. But this one, she said, is the worst ever. I don't have cash reserves, I'm barely staying above water, said Williams. The uncertainty is driving me crazy. And as the shutdown over Donald Trump's border wall barrels into its third week, when it would become the longest in U.S. history, the weight of that uncertainty is being disproportionately shouldered by black Americans like Williams. Black people make up 12% of the U.S. population. That's not true. That's more like 1/3 or 40%, because they've been 12% since the 1970s. But let's keep going. But more than 18% of the federal workforce, according to a study by the Partnership for Public Service. My mother tells me, bless her heart, there's a bed here if you need it, Williams said, her voice becoming emotional. I'm 50. I'm not going back to my parents' house. Hiring discrimination in the private sector has long driven... Sorry, I'm a bit tired. Black Americans to government jobs, federal, state, and local for steady, gainful employment. Following the legislative civil rights gains of the 1960s, government agencies, especially federal, generally held themselves more stringently to anti-discrimination laws than private employers of the era. In turn, black Americans saw that public service employment opened up economic opportunities for good, well-paid jobs that provide some measure of protection against discrimination. According to Farah Ahmed, a policy analyst at the Center for American Progress, writing during the 2013 government shutdown, competitive pay scales, government employment have lifted generations of black people into the middle class. Perhaps nowhere is that more true than in predominantly black Washington, D.C. suburbs, Prince George's County in Maryland. The county is home to the highest concentration of middle-class black Americans in the country, largely due to black public sector employment. Around here, families work for the government, generationally, said Kenneth Graves, a federal employee currently on furlough who grew up in Prince George's. My mom works for the government. My dad worked for the government, Graves said. That's what we always heard growing up, get a good government job. Graves, who is black, said he could probably sustain about another month of the shutdown before he depletes the last of his savings. A fellow Federal Aviation Administration employee, Graves is currently looking for part-time work in hospitality to keep some income coming in and stay occupied. Whether to sitting at home or looking for a part-time position, Graves said, is really challenging. The profound racial wealth gap in the U.S. makes it far more difficult for the average black American to sustain a long period without a paycheck, as compared to white Americans or the U.S. average. Median black household wealth is about $1,700 and falling, while median white wealth sits at over $116,000, according to a 2017 study by Prosperity Now and the Institution for Policy Studies. Graves said he's already called his student loan provider to ask for a deferment, while Williams told The Guardian she's still dreading a call to her landlord to ask if she can postpone her next month's payments. She scoffed at a letter to a federal employee sent out near the beginning of the shutdown suggesting ways to ask for a reduced payment plan during the furlough. They say talk to these creditors. They don't want to hear your problems and they don't care. They want their money. Williams said, like many federal workers, she's turned to GoFundMe campaign to try and keep afloat. And I'll put that in the description. As stressed as she is, Williams is even more worried about federal contractors who, unlike federal employees, are not historically issued back pay once the shutdown ends. In the park system, for example, many of the trash removal and custodial services are provided by contractors. These are people that I work with closely, and it really bothers me that they're not getting paid. Here again, the burden falls disproportionately to black Americans, according to business analytics firm Equant. Black-owned firms comprise 2.1% of all small businesses in the country that have one or more employees. However, some such firms make up 11.7% of registered federal contractors. When questioned about the impact the furlough is having on federal employees, Trump has suggested that many, maybe most of those people that really have not been and will not be getting their money in at this moment, these people in many cases are the biggest fans of what they're doing. When he says that, I want to jump from my television, Williams said. There's no end in sight for the shutdown. On Wednesday, a meeting between Trump and congressional leadership to try and push past the impasse ended abruptly with Trump reportedly storming off, later calling it a total waste of time. While some Republicans have said they would support reopening the government without funding for Trump's border wall, the president is urging Senate Republicans to stick together. Okay, like I said, I'll leave this woman's GoFundMe in the description. So, Anyway, I'm going to just talk about a few things that the average person can do to help federal workers or federal contractors. If you know them, if you know anyone, your friends, family, or neighbors who are federal workers or contractors, and they're going through it, you can just give them some food. If you've got any extra. If they've got GoFundMe's up, you can donate to them. If you are a mechanic, a carpenter, an electrician, a plumber, or have some skill, then you can offer to do some services for them and take that burden off them if something happens, so they don't have to worry about how to pay for that. If they are still going to work, you can offer to carpool with them and take them either all the way there or at least close to it, to take some of the burden off it, to stop what's the word? The financial burden of sorry, I'm just lost my train of thought, of paying for the gas or paying for the bus fare, rail fare, or whatever. And maybe some of you, because you might know these people, friends, family, neighbors, you don't want to embarrass those people by having to making them lose their pride and have to accept charity. You could put the money in an envelope and go to their house at night and drop it in their mailbox, or just post it to them. Again, if you're going to go there at night, I would suggest that you use your common sense. If you're not in a safe neighborhood, don't do that. Okay? I mean, I know it should be common sense, but I'm just saying that just so you know. Like I said, if you want to give money to your friends, family, or neighbors, but you don't want them to know it's you, so they don't want to be embarrassed, you can just put the money in an envelope and post it to them so that they don't feel embarrassed. Well, it's like New Era Detroit said, we all we got. Anyway, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace, family.